If you're inspo tanks, and make no mistake, you've come to the right place. Just give to Neil the time to straight up blow your mind with a new show of drawing a blank.
Oh yes, I've watched Beastars. In fact, I loved watching it so much I went back and read the manga and love it as well. I'm all caught up with it as of right now, and I'm eagerly awaiting the next updates. But before I get into why I enjoy this property so much, I do want to give a little heads up before we begin. Beastars is intended for older audiences. It has mature themes that talk about topics like sex, classism, racism, socio-political influences on marginalized groups, mental illness, murder, and the whole beginning premise is a rather serious take on our main character, a large gray wolf named Lugosi, trying to figure out if his feelings for Haru, a small white dwarf female rabbit, come from a place of wanting to love her or eat her. And while all of that is my cup of tea, it might not be everyone's, so viewer discretion is advised before jumping into this show or even my review of it. Secondly, because the anime adaptation is going to be the way most people probably experience this property, I'll try my best to only talk about the first season. It's on Netflix, and if none of my above warnings turned you away from it, then you should really check it out. It's really, really good. I'll keep everything here manga spoiler-free since the manga is much further along than the anime. So if you're interested in checking out the show or have already watched season 1, you don't need to worry about me spoiling future plots. Just know that as someone who has read it, the show has nowhere to go but up from where it left off, because the story just keeps getting better and better. Alright, so my experience with Beastars before the show came out was basically non-existent. I had heard about it from a few friends I knew who were reading it, and I saw some trailers seeing the look of the show. Ironically, I think seeing the clips from the trailers of the show sort of turned me off at first glance. Because the main focus of the clips I saw was always Louis the Red Deer being really creepy and demanding and just kind of racist towards Lugosi, which, like, I get now. But as a first impression of the show, it seemed really out there and like it wasn't handling its subject matter seriously, which is hilarious in retrospect because, one, Beastars is kind of out there. Oh God, y'all, there is so much yet to come. But two, Beastars uses its animal society in one of the most clever ways I've ever seen. And as someone who enjoys a lot of animal fantasy stories because of their symbolism, and of course like Zootopia, it's great to see a more mature and political take on this subject matter that's almost always used as a metaphor for inequality. These animals live in a society, man. Inequality isn't just directed at carnivores or herbivores, and the whole system is kind of screwed up for everyone. It's realistic and really well thought out. And easy to relate to, even when our cast of furry characters is dealing with problems like, I have an insatiable desire to eat my herbivore classmates, and feel great amounts of shame for it, but also wish that I could protect my herbivore classmates from the frequent predations that happen in our society. The more philosophical questions about this society go deeper as the story continues, but season 1 of the show does do a great job in easing the audience into the world of Beastars and answering some of your more obvious questions up front first. And really, if you'd like a more thorough analysis on season 1 and then of the manga, I highly recommend checking out Jack Saint's videos on the topic, as well as his breakdown on why animal allegories and other stories tend to be a bit messy, to say the least. Links below and in the cards. I am in no way equipped to handle deep content like that myself, but I will definitely recommend it. However, as an animator, I am equipped to talk about what inevitably pulled me into this show and left me with no choice but to binge the whole first season and then spend hours reading a manga when the last manga I read was, now that I think about it, well, there was that one in high school. Oh, no, I never really got that far with that one. Okay, so maybe I'm coming to the realization that Beastars might be the first manga I've read all the way through and had plans to keep reading. That's how good Beastars is to me. Of course, I will admit that this quarantine could definitely play a large factor into that. But all I'm saying is that now more than ever is a good time to try out some new things. Anyway, what pulled me into Beastars and didn't let me go was that damn OP. Oh, yeah! That calls right out to my animation brain and gives it a high like a kid in a candy store. Oh, that is some good shit. Everything about this opening slaps so hard and really sets the show up well. From the jazzy yet slightly edgy music to the stark contrast between night and day and how it symbolizes the dark underbelly of this society and the bright idyllic light of the sun when it switches over to day. This intro lays so many symbolic seeds in your head and gets you asking yourself questions before the show even brings them up to you. Is the wolf gonna kill the rabbit? Why is this playing out on top of a deer's head? Does this mean the deer holds some kind of power over both of them, or they have some kind of connection to them? The art direction to make the forest look like antlers is such a good touch, and it gives Lewis such a powerful presence in all of this, even though he's featured very briefly, and it's a great setup for the kind of presence that he has canonically. And the animation, oh my god! I love these stop-motion puppets for Legoshi and Haru. They're so good and highlight the best parts of the characters' designs. Legoshi is so large and threatening, but also scrawny and hunched over, like he's got a secret or he's shy. And his small pupils make him less inviting. Plus his massive clawed fingers invoke feelings of danger, especially when shadowed in moonlight. While on the opposite end of the spectrum, Haru looks so small and defenseless, and her pupils are wide, and you immediately feel attached to her, which is exactly what the character design wants you to feel. But then, when Legoshi and Haru are at the climax of their chase, they meet each other's gaze, and that brings out the sun and the music shift to a more frantic and happier beat before slamming you back down into a grim and dark scene. Mwah! Perfect tone setter for this series. I love it. I can't tell you how many times I've listened to this dang opening. If you're already watching the show or have read the manga, let me know your own thoughts below. If you haven't watched it yet, I hope you'll consider giving it a try. I barely even touched on the story or went really deep into the characters, but I always want to give anyone watching my content an opportunity to go experience things spoiler-free. So maybe after season 2 comes out, I'll go more in depth. I hope you are all having a fantastic day, everyone, and stay inspired.